For those of you who don't know who we're speaking with, this is Dr. David Schmidt, our state veterinarian. He's gracious come say hi. I'm David. What's going on? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll probably stand up out here and walk around. I need to look at my slides. And the only reason why I'm standing up here is because I'm short, so you can see. A little bit of background. I work for the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. I work in the Wallace State Office building down by the Capitol. I was in private practice for 26 years. This is my background. And then I came to the state of Iowa for the Department of Agriculture in August of 1999. And so I'll let you do the math as far as for that, how old I am, but I've been out of vet school over 40 years. So I've been around, and just to give you a little background and what's going on and what we're involved with in our Department of Agriculture, at least a segment from the invitation that I got here, just to give an update. Certainly, as far as some of the things that I'd like to cover and just go over, you can read as far as for yourself, a licensing summary and just some general overview of what we term the animal welfare section in our department, but it's really the commercial establishments. That's how they're licensed, at least as far as in commercial breeders. I'd be remiss if I didn't put on, we have a home web page. Our Secretary of Agriculture, Bill Northey, if you don't know him, he's a great individual. He's running for re-election again, and I'm certainly glad that he is running, because my position, as well as all of our bureau chiefs, and our Department of Agriculture is made up of many bureaus. We have a pesticides bureau, a weights and measures bureau. If you go to any gas station and you see a sticker on there, that's part of the Department of Agriculture. Actually, what I am with is the Bureau of Animal Industry. So our Bureau of Animal Industry, you can see, certainly we have a website and just a segment of our main website that is dedicated to the licensing of commercial establishments. And you can explore that sometime. We have a posting on there of all of our state authorized facilities. And I'll use that term because that's what is in Code of Law that came out and was revised in 2010. Here, as far as on that, there's frequently asked questions, there's forms, application forms, as well as Code of Law and administrative rules. Code of Law dictates, the legislature makes Code of Law. The House and the Senate, they're in session now. If they pass something, it goes to the governor's office for signing, and then it becomes in effect. So you'll see, as far as what is set up through on our website as well, where you can look up to see if somebody's licensed, and there's different sorting fields based on that. Code of Law, Chapter 162, is what provides the authority for licensing. It has many, many different definitions, but who the Department of Agriculture oversees and the criteria. So the commercial establishments that are defined and who we end up licensing or authorizing are listed in this list. So a commercial kennel will be somebody that's boarding or grooming or training or a combination thereof versus just a boarding kennel for your definition. So commercial breeders may either be state or USDA animal care licensed. We have currently 5 state district veterinarians. This information is posted on our website, their contact information, where they live. They work for the Bureau of Animal Industry. They're located around the state, and that's part of our field staff. We also we have 8 livestock inspectors, and that's a state classification through Department of Administrative Services. They do multiple tasks, but in state language, that's what their classification is. And you'll see those, and actually, as far as with this, there's an addition of 2, and I'll go through that, why we have an addition of 2 inspectors. So our inspectors and other licensing that we do are these entities right here and the numbers as of February. So our inspectors are involved as far as inspecting because we license these additional entities or business opportunities. Livestock agents, or where you see an agent where there's an asterisk, we do not inspect those. We inspect the licensee, the main licensee, just for your information. So this past year, our Department of Agriculture, I mentioned the other bureaus, we had a horse and dog bureau. And maybe you've seen or familiar with that. It's primarily our Iowa born and bred, thoroughbreds, quarter horses, standardbreds, as far as for parimutuel betting, and those that are racing greyhounds. Greyhound commercial breeders is already covered under Chapter 162 as a licensee. But they had 2 inspectors. They did have a bureau chief and 1 part-time office staff, and when the bureau chief left, the Department of Agriculture elected to bring them into our Animal Industry Bureau. These are our current numbers as of February. You'll see we have state licensed facilities, commercial breeders, 288. That was as of that date. Along that same line, we have 269? Okay, under USDA animal care facilities that are authorized as far as with our department, as well as the rest of the breakdown, and all of these are licensed entities, authorized, permitted, registered with our Department of Agriculture. So what I thought I'd do, because primarily everyone here is a commercial breeder, and what has happened over time, because again, I said I came in August of '99 as the assistant state veterinarian, and so I've gone and I've done presentations over the years, and where I've ended up tracking as far as some of the numbers of licensees. So I decided to put this together as far as a graph for a little bit of information and for my own interest as well. You can see along here we have state licensed commercial breeders and what the trends have been, and this goes back to 2003. And I apologize, but the February 14th date didn't come through as far as on here, but that's what the numbers have gone through. So you can see from this graph, here's the numbers and what the trends have been over the years. And as far as USDA permitted, and I put it down because that's what it is, as far as on those facilities in the state of Iowa. These are USDA animal care licensed facilities or authorized or permitted facilities, really is what the terminology is. And this is what has been the trend. Code of law changed in 2010 when House File 2280 went into effect to change our commercial establishment code if you're looking for somewhat of a baseline as far as for the numbers. I just thought it was interesting to see. So I mentioned authorization. Authorization is defined in code. There are going to be permits, registrations, and licenses. Licenses, obviously, our state inspectors inspect those facilities. Under this, commercial breeder definition, most of you, and I apologize for those of you who have seen this information before, but there may be some, or there's some new faces in here for me, but it's spelled out what who needs to be licensed. Definition, code of law, and it goes into further detail on down into that code. And it talks about a permittee. For a commercial breeder, USDA animal care licensed facility with USDA animal care, under state code, current language, it's a permit. And that's out of code of law. We issue a document. It looks just like a state license. In actuality, by code of law, it's a permit. Here, as far as the authorities, as far as in this code, our inspectors operate and do state licensed facilities in the state of Iowa, USDA animal care, Animal health technicians and veterinary medical officers do the inspections for USDA animal care facilities. I forget how all the transitions were as far as in here. However, as far as with this, in this code, monitoring is addressed. When that changed in 2010, it provides the Iowa Department of Agriculture to monitor facilities if there's compliance issues. It was spelled out and what the authorities are. Certainly, as far as with this, if we receive a complaint, we have the authority to enter a permitted facility. And USDA Animal Care, you're probably familiar as far as with their website and the information. I just thought I would put this all together if you're not familiar as far as with it. Here, we also have administrative rules that supplement code of law. The rules are drafted. They have the criteria for our state authorized facilities, our state licensed facilities. If we have a groomer in the state of Iowa that's licensed with our department, there's criteria. There's criteria for pounds and animal shelters here because we do license and inspect those facilities. So standard of care was also introduced and put into code of law. And again, you can read it as far as for yourself. It specifically has these criteria. If there's a complaint about a facility, then, and it falls within those guides, we will assign it out to a compliance investigator. We will work with USDA Animal Care, and we'll do the investigation, and then it provides, if there's no findings, fine, we close the case. If there's a problem, fine. Then there's other avenues that are addressed as far as what the authorities are in the Code of Iowa. Changes to animal welfare. We did add, as far as along this with this transition, our inspections now are done electronically. Our Department of Agriculture purchased a software package to where our bureau and other bureaus use this on laptops. When our inspectors come into a facility, it's a touch screen, it's a prescribed form, and they fill it out, they complete it, they can sign on screen. So will the licensee be able to sign on that. It's saved electronically. We've tried to do paper reduction, and it's worked very well because those reports, when they sync up, come into our office, and anything that's updated on our system automatically updates their laptops. And this is not only for our commercial establishments, it's for our renderers, chick dealers, livestock dealers. We have forms there as well. And we're in the process because of the moving in of the horse and dog program to where those forms are being developed also. It's a form that looks very similar to that, touch screen, and it works out very, very well. I thought I would throw in, this was in regards to canine brucellosis, and I know I've spoke to your organization before. This was a case that appeared or came up. It was a human case actually in New York. It was a trace that came to Iowa, and as a result of that, then we did, as we have authority to do, it's a reportable disease. We went out, investigated, there was testing that was done. The commercial breeding facility was found to have canine brucellosis. Quarantine did the requisite testing, and the quarantine was released. This was a presentation that was put together that was actually shown for the United States Animal Health Association this last fall. And so I thought I would incorporate a few slides. We have been involved with canine brucellosis work for many years. There's been a lot of outreach done as far as for that. And I would say that, in the state of Iowa, the commercial breeders have done an excellent job. They've enhanced their biosecurity practices. Certainly people are doing the testing ahead of time to make sure it's not introduced as far as into the commercial breeding facilities, whether they're state or federally licensed. And I would hold our state up as a model. So certainly, I guess I want to say thank you as far as the commercial breeders in the state of Iowa. If we find it, yes, we do quarantine. And here, it's important for us to make sure that we always stay on top of introduction of any diseases. So biosecurity is extremely important. But here, in this instance, there was a human that ended up becoming ill. It was a child. Child recovered, and but it traced back to Iowa, and we got it resolved. So clinical signs, as far as was presented and how the individual ended up showing up, it is a zoonotic disease. Certainly, if you are experiencing any signs of illness that may be compatible, definitely contact your healthcare provider and visit with them and share with them that, yes, you have dogs, okay? Could this be a problem? And with that, I just want to say thank you, and I'll open it up as far as for questions. I don't know where I'm at as far as on my time. And if not, then we'll move on to the next speaker. Yes?
Out of curiosity, as the reviews go down the numbers, how many new animal shelters and pounds
I had down how many pounds and animal shelters that we have as far as in the state, without backing up to that slide. I did have this. We currently have 118 animal shelters that are licensed, and as far as on pounds, 166. We have no privately owned pounds at this point in time. So pounds are going to be municipalities, counties, or urban towns. Right.
So, like the one that you rescued
If they rescue out of a home, that's actually a dealer by definition of our code of law. So you'll see dealers. The code of law does not have the word rescue. Okay? They fit into a dealer category, and that's where they're buying or selling or exchanging, and it comes into where they are exchanging. And they're in their home, and they don't have a nonprofit status, okay? Right. And an animal shelter, by definition, has to be a facility, and a facility is not someone's home.
has the dealers done that much in the last 5 years?
Yes. What the numbers are? I'm sorry, I didn't graph it. Okay. Yes.
You know, we I'm going to say that's what we're saying.
Sure.
Views are going down, the guns
Correct. Right. I think that's a common trend throughout. I see, and I don't know. Yeah.
So then it's a based on daycares and with the no self. Big dogs, they under.
Yes. No. Daycares, dog daycare, is either a commercial kennel or it's a boarding kennel by definition in our code of law. Okay? And I mentioned that we have administrative rules. Administrative rules supplement the code of law, and in our administrative rules, there's a section on dog daycare. What size of play group, that if they're over 6 months of age, they have to be neutered. There's a whole section on that. So dog daycare, again, is in the administrative rules, and as I said, it does not fit into like an animal shelter or a pound or a commercial breeding operation. It is provided for either as a boarding kennel or a commercial kennel licensing. And then they have to meet the requirements for dog daycare as well. Yep. So we do have a few that dog daycare facilities, and before I became state veterinarian, that was worked out some years back when the trend was starting to show up. Good question. What state? I see. Very good.
No, It's interesting just like working on legislation.
Yeah. It varies from state to state. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of people that do dog daycare. Our daughter and son-in-law do with their dog.
But your daycare, if they are put in with a rescue, again, that's one season?
The daycare is for those that are coming in and out, that are not staying overnight. In some instances they may, and that's why they're licensed either as a commercial kennel or boarding kennel. Because under commercial kennel is boarding, grooming, and training. And so that's the only provision. If they are doing something that is a different activity, which you term as rescue, which we term by code of law as a dealer, they would have to also have a dealer license. Yes, good question. Others? Yes?
Rebecca calls me, she said, somebody wants to talk to you. She said, the dog's going to get it, and you're going to get it. She has to get it, just ask her, where's that?
I'm not certain I'm following. If
She wanted to get it, find all the way because it's not for your kids, and she wanted to get it because it was a very massive. That legal?
well, here, as far as if a dog bites or an animal bites someone, okay, first of all, there's another code of law that has to be reported to the local board of health and or law enforcement. So the sheriff or police, whatever. Okay, anytime there's a bite.
They wanted to fight us.
Okay, and then after that type of situation, and it didn't bite anybody, then that's a business transaction. Either you say, yep, you want it, or you don't want it. There's no rule or statute on that. By state, unless there's a local ordinance to where there's a vicious animal type of code.
Would it make it select a rescue?
No, you're already licensed as a commercial breeder, right? No. Yeah, yeah. We're good? Yes?
Well, I'm confused, the difference between in-home kennels and commercials. In-home kennel, and the paperwork I have, is someone who maintains or harbors not more than 6 adults.
That is correct.
Including both breeding and surgery.
Neutered and spayed, right. And that's for a boarding kennel and a commercial breeder only in that rule. In-home kennel is only for a boarding kennel and a commercial breeder.
Right, so it's, but then the commercial breeder says a person who owns or harbors 3 or fewer breeding males and females.
No, you don't require licensing if you have 3 or fewer. If you have 4 or more and you're offering for sale or selling, then you have to be licensed in the
4
state.
or more intact or just
Intact, breeding, intact.
Okay.
Yep, and we count that as those that are over a year of age. They're sexually intact, they're over a year of age. They may be 12 years old and they're still sexually intact, even though they're not using them. They are still sexually intact. They count toward the numbers.
So I had a new inspector come for my first time in January.
Yes?
And she just kept saying that the number in my head is 4 or more. And I says, is it intact? Or she wouldn't,
It's
she wouldn't
intact.
say intact.
Spayed and neuters
Yeah.
don't count. And puppies don't count.
But you can only have 6 total, whether
In
they're
an in-home situation, that is correct.
spay or neutered.
Right. You can only have 6 if you're doing in-home.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah, I'm going to go with my time. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
On the in-home breeder,
Yes.
how does it work with primary enclosures? So, for example, I'm at work all day, my dogs are in crates.
Correct.
Are those crates their primary enclosures and then looked at as that, or is my entire house considered their primary enclosure?
Here, as far as if you have adequate enclosure and restraint as far as for those individuals, okay? So you're gone, you know, you don't want them tearing up the house or destroying the house, okay?
Correct.
Yep, as long as you have adequate space for them to move about, lie, and all this and that.
In that space.
In that enclosure.
So then, okay.
Right. If it was a shoreline kennel or if it was a bear kennel, whatever that is.
So then that is their primary then, and that's what you're looking at,
Correct,
spacing
but
the regulation.
Part of that also goes to where is the area that they are being, you know, where that housing is.
Is that as far as the sanitation and stuff like that?
Sanitation, lighting, ventilation, right, yeah. That you're not sticking them outside, oh, okay, yeah. Oops, sorry.
Where does the Department of Ag stand on USDA's rules and regulations? Are we comfortable with them, or do we make recommendations to the Senate and the House on where we feel the rules fall?
We work with USDA Animal Care all the time. And when I came into the department, it's evolved over the years. It's a matter of working back and forth as far as on that. We have meetings together, we call each other as far as on that. We're talking about commercial establishments, businesses that are in the state of Iowa.
What about kennels? Do you feel comfortable with USDA's rules and inspections, or does the state of Iowa think we need more?
I don't know what the position is as far as on the state. All I know is, we've developed a great working relationship back and forth.
Does the Department of Ag make any recommendations to legislature on this issue?
In our structure, we have Secretary of Agriculture, elected official. For when government is in session, we have a legislative liaison, okay, Matt Gronwald. And so when the legislature's in session, he's over there communicating. There may be all other types of bills as far as informing legislators what is going on, or if they need information from the department. Do I go over there? Shoot, no. No, that's not my role. And if there's something new that's going on, yeah, he'll stop by or send me an email, or can I get this information, or let me know what's going on. That's not my role.
So as he asked for information about Senate File 2166, because you guys are out there on the field, you see what's going on.
Correct. Our role is as far as regulating and doing the work for issuing licenses in the day-to-day. And so usually what ends up coming to us is he'll send something, okay, well, what is our breakdown as far as in the state of Iowa? How many licensees do we have? Okay, that type of general information, because he knows that we have that. It's not coming to me or to our bureau as far as for opinion or interjection. Yeah.
Do you feel it should? Being that you were the people on the ground and see how animals are being cared for.
Here,
Do you feel you should have some input to the legislature on that?
do I know what's going on?
Well, I'm sure you know what's going on.
Right. Here as far as for that, it's not an opinion as far as from me. It's a department, okay? Right. I don't have a role as far as in that, and I try to stay away from the politics.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, but thank you.
We got it. Just a moment, I want you all to know that our friend Mary is in the house. She's sitting out here in the hallway.
You going to talk?
As I came in, and so just be careful who you talk to. We're going to go right into Dr. Goldberg's session here after about a 5-minute break if you need to go to the restroom. And if you have not heard Dr. Goldberg speak, you are going to be amazed. He is wonderful. And